Sunshine Wild Ones, it's Bernadette. I am here for your Pick a Card Daily Tarot reading on this glorious Monday, October 12th. Just taking a second to thank you guys so much. Holy guacamole, the amount of emails and Facebook messages I got telling me to feel better and giving me all kinds of advice about the crazy shingles outbreak that I had last week. I'm so honored, and y'all taught me more about shingles than the internet or my doctors did, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. And before we get started into today's reading, because wowzers is all I have to say about the animal that came out for today. Wowzers. I just want to remind you, it is Black Cat Awareness Month, and this cat looks very familiar, doesn't it? Yes. Look, that's the panther from the Arc deck, and look on the back of it. It is Black Panther, and then what its meaning is, and yes, I am having mugs made, and I just wanted to show you guys that because I told my designer to pick any cat she wanted to start with, and so she picked the Black Panther because she knows that I'm doing Black Cat Awareness Month, so there you guys go. All right, so the card that came out for today is the Centaur card, and why that really, I had to sit with that for a minute because, you know, Mondays, it's the feels day, it's the root chakra day, we got to get anchored down because the moon is the planetary influence and it's all about the feels. But centaurs are known for their aggressiveness, they're known for their battle cry, they're known for their warrior cry, right? And mostly centaurs are known as males, but a female centaur is called a centauride, and then as you'll see in the card, a young centaur wanted to be in the card, and I had all kinds of centaurs to choose from, but she was like, no, it has to be me, it has to be me, it has to be me, and I'm like, okay. So when we were working through the cards and I asked her to kind of unpack that for me, and I took a really good look at the other thing that centaurs are known for. Well, if you take Chiron, who is the most famous, well, you know, arguably the most famous centaur in history and legend and lore and Greek myth, his great wisdom, he tutored the god of medicine, whose name I can never pronounce, Asclepios, the heroes Hercules, Achilles, Jason, his son Medeus, and it's a long story, but I won't go into it because if I get started on Greek mythology, we'll be here all day. But the bottom line is this. Centaurs start out as little centaurs because when the mommy centaur gets together with the daddy centaur, they make little centaurs. And yes, they're great warriors, okay, but is there any greater strength that you can have than wisdom? Is there any greater war that you could wage other than with your mind? And if you need to wage war, whatever that means to you, if you need to create a like a blueprint for a battle, or you need a schematic, like a plan that will help you get through, you know, challenging times, no, your wisdom, this is going to serve you so much better than this every single time. And when I take a look at the wisdom of children, especially children today, yes, I understand about millennials. I am uniquely qualified to understand about millennials. But they're not all like that, despite the memes, despite the jokes. And there's such amazing wisdom that comes from children that it makes really good sense why not only a child centaur, but a female centaur would want to come out. Now, here's what I'm not doing. I'm not, you know, girl power, you know, feminism, yay, I'm not doing that. What I am saying is this is a very different time in history. And as we move through the rest of the year, it's going to be an even more different time in history. And we have no idea what's going to happen, right? Though I get emails every day. What's going to happen? What's going to happen for the election? What's going to happen? What's your prediction? I'm not predicting. That's not happening. So when you take a look at this gorgeous baby young girl centaur and she's doing this, one of the other reasons that really intrigued me when I asked her early on to tell me why, okay, why do you want to go in the Ark? It's that you don't have to blab your wisdom out to have it. You don't have to have people know that you know what you know to be wise and still be accomplishing what you want to accomplish. I find through my lifetime that people won't listen to the truth, generally speaking. They've got to live it. So let's roll that back. People won't listen to the truth. They won't hear the truth. They've got to live the truth. They've got to see it for themselves. So in my, my last couple of decades, really the last 15 years, I don't even bother. I don't even bother to blab what I know to be true, what I can prove in black and white. I don't bother to blab it because it's a waste of everybody's time. So today, as you're rooting into Monday, that root chakra, really take a second and plant your hooves where they are, because centaurs are half horse, half human, and I've seen them as half goat, and I've seen them as half this and half that, but traditionally they're half horse and half human. Really plant your hooves where you want to be at, and take a second and let that lunar energy of the moon come in and see how are you feeling about certain things, because horses, like all animals, but horses for sure, are very psychic animals. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that animal senses are like a million times what ours are. If you think you have good hearing, be a dog. If you think you have a great sense of smell, be one of the animals that has a sense of smell. If you can imagine, however sensitive your smell is, that it's like 500-fold or 1,000-fold, think of all the nuances that you could smell in just some baking brownies. Think about all of the nuances that you could smell if there was somebody that had a campfire and they're making marshmallows or s'mores or whatever. Just think about it. So take that into consideration as you move throughout today, because with horse being part of the message for today, you can't rule out passion, you can't rule out sexuality, you can't rule out, all of these kinds of things that horse has to do with. However, when you start blending horse with human, you dilute some of that with the centaur. And so I've always been told by the spirit animals, when this card is introduced, why the little one wanted to be in it is that whatever strength, whatever resilience that you think a horse has, and it does, think about when you were young. When we take hits today, emotional, mental, physical, it takes us a little while to, quote unquote, get back up on the horse, right? But when we were kids, man, we got knocked down, but we got up again. It didn't take us down the way that it takes us down today. So there's all these multi layers in here about what you can learn from a centaur. And in particular, this beautiful little one that has come to join us today. I often talk about, what's the difference between a spirit totem and power animal. But honestly, for today's card, it may be more important than ever before, because when a spirit animal comes to you, that's the animal that you have either cried out consciously for the universe to send you as a sign, or subconsciously, like all of a sudden, you may not have asked the spirit animal allies to send you a spirit animal for today. But I'll bet if you're seeing this centaur, I bet over the next week you see centaur more and more and more and more. Or you might see some really beautiful, untamed, wild child, just this wild spirit of a little girl or a little boy running around in the woods in some meme or some, beautiful quote on Facebook. There's a reason for that. Now, left in the wild, us left in the wild, all animals represent our untamed nature, but I haven't found one that represents that more than a wild horse. They just have this sheer raw power and majesty behind them. And now you've got a child that's a centaur coming to you. What if this is a call for you to help your children, no matter what age they are? What if this is a call for you to help your children, or the child inside of you, have a more untamed nature, be more confident to just go with the wild notions that come to you, not in a dangerous way, but Listen, y'all, some people, they're so committed to, let's say, health. Okay. They're like, they won't eat one anything with white flour in it all year long. And I understand, okay, there's a treat versus wild. I get that. But what if wild is, you know what, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to take the day off and we're going to do crafts and art, or we're going to take a drive, or we're going to go to the beach, or we're going to whatever. Whatever is wild to you, maybe it's time for you to, not only inside of yourself, but outside of yourself, maybe cultivate a little bit more of that. Now, if Centaur is your power animal, woof! I could feel the heat from here, y'all. This triple water sign is turning into steam. I'm going to evaporate right here. Good for you. Sometimes now, remember, centaurs are definitely warriors, and they're very, very wise. But because they've had centuries and centuries and centuries, and yes, I'm talking about centaurs like they're real, because to me they are. Once something is thought, it becomes a thought form, and it's real and it's tangible. So somewhere out there are centaurs running around, and I can't wait to meet one before I leave this reality. So just remember, they're used to already having that wisdom before they act. So stop and ask yourself, is it wise to say, to do, to act? Just ask yourself that. Now, remember that centaurs are bow and arrow people. Very much like Sagittarius, they aim at what they want, and man, they can let that arrow fly straight and true. I am not suggesting that you pick up a real bow and arrow and go a-hunting, Elmer Fudd. I'm not suggesting that. But I am suggesting, yes, I know Elmer Fudd didn't hunt with a bow and arrow, but I am suggesting that today is an amazing, amazing day to think of any of the goals that you want, aim for them, and use the wisdom and the power and the strength and the untamed nature of Centaur to let that arrow fly straight and true, because it will hit its mark. Oh yes, it will. One more thing. People have often asked me why, because the Centaur card came from the mythological and prehistoric add-on deck of the Ark, and people have often asked me why I added those. Well, because again, just like a few minutes ago, once we think of something, once we put an energy behind something, a thought form is a real tangible thing. And so they're real tangible creatures. We've been talking about centaurs and mermaids and, Loch Ness Monster and all that kind of stuff for centuries and centuries and centuries. But the other thing is that, especially for the prehistoric animals, the ones that we can prove existed. As a matter of fact, they just found a new kind of prehistoric animal the other day. Sorry, I should have put that up. I'll get it on the next the reading for tomorrow. And I was like, ding, 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 brand new spirit animal. Got to research that one. But we can learn so much from the ancients, and we can learn so much from primordial wisdom, because we tend to make things real complicated today, y'all. Things don't have to be that complicated. And really, at the end of the day, so much of our day is spent on a struggle between good and evil, right and wrong, truth and falsehood. And it's exhausting. It doesn't have to be like that. Animals are not like that. That's it. Now, yes, there are trickster animals, and of course they have senses of humor, and they'll play jokes and that kind of thing. Ravens, foxes, that they do, and a lot of other animals. But my cat plays hide and seek. Well, one of my cats plays hide and seek with me. But when it comes to that, animals are very straight up. They're not going to tell you a falsehood, and they're not going to constantly be scanning you to see if you're telling the truth. Some of them have trust issues. Some animals do, by virtue of the way that they were raised, but by and large they don't. Even if they have good reason to, they'll trust and they'll move on. They'll observe. They'll see the lay of the land. They'll think about how they feel. They'll think about the vibe they get off of you. And when you unite with that part of you that is Centaur, you're going to be very surprised at how strong your spidey senses are going to get if you will allow it. When you connect with this Centaur in particular, the little girl, that feminine nature, that is the moon energy, that is the feeling, the receptive energy, and you allow her to let you see things through, have the strength to see through things through the eyes of a child, write me. Put it in the comments section below. That is a prediction I will make this morning. I predict some of you are going to have incredibly beautiful and powerful experiences. So I hope that's helpful. I thank you guys again for all of the well wishes for my health. All is pretty good now, yay. And if you haven't picked up your copy of the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, which is the deck I read from, I hope you pick up your copy. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please remember that it is Black Cat Awareness Month. Do something great for black cats. And all that said, what's the most important thing? To stay wild.